Welcome. This has to be one of my all-time favorite presentation. The great pianist Red Garland made such an impact in the 50s, in the mid-50s, when he joined the great Miles Davis Quintet. And he made so many contributions to Miles, which I will mention. One big one. Who brought the great saxophonist John Coltrane to Miles? Red Garland. What a difference. I mean, Miles recorded with Sonny Rollins, another phenomenal tenor player. At the same time, Coltrane had a totally different sound and a unique way of phrasing. His nickname, Train, he started off playing in the style of Dexter Gordon. And Dexter was basically the first tenor saxophonist to translate Charlie Parker's bebop language from alto to tenor. And Coltrane started in that style. Little by little, he got loosened up, and his lines became weaving, and he would shift rhythms and phrasing. Totally revolutionized the new style of tenor playing. And his high register, even though not really edgy, but he was always warm, but some other Coltrane imitators had too edgy sound. You know, he wasn't about that. He was about soul. Certain amount of edge and projection is needed, but the other cats overdid it. And Coltrane and Miles got along beautifully. I was the first one. I mean, let's clarify, I'm one of the few around here that saw the original group in 1957. I saw him at the Black Hawk, and it made a great impression. I'll tell you about it. Now, Red Garland was in that band, and today, as I knew him and he showed me personally how to harmonize, how to voice his chords on the piano, I will give you a demonstration. So that'll happen soon. In the meantime, from Red Garland's album on Prestige, Groovy, here is Duke Ellington, C-Jam Blues. I met Red Garland in the early 60s after he left Miles. He brought a phenomenal trio to Jazz Workshop on Broadway. Imagine this. The Doug Watkins, right along Paul Chambers were two main Detroit cats, soloing beautifully but walking with a great, beautiful round groove. On drums it was Specs Wright, and what Red would do, his single lines were so exact and he had a beautiful light touch but precise rhythmic phrasing, very hard swinging with a light touch. He would alternate that with the block chords and bringing it to a climax like a big band. The block chords were so rich, I'll show them in a few minutes, and after a single note solo he would do some punches with the block chords. It's like shout, big band, boy, something else. Anyway, I introduced myself, and little by little when he would come, I would hang with him. He showed me personally how to voice block chords, told me stories about Miles and his contribution. Miles was a great band leader, but he did get help from other people. He was in the early days and those days, creative trumpet stylist, but as it's known, he took a lot of people's tunes. Clean had 4, also Tune Up. He tried taking one from Benny Carter, When Lights Are Low, but Benny was a really, how can you say, alert businessman. He got a lawyer, and Miles quickly took his name out of it. So Red Garland introduced Miles to Bye Blackbird. Who would ever think of that tune from the early century, I believe? Played in a kind of a places, beer joints with straw on the floor. And then the other one, hipper tune, Gal in Calico, introduced him that. And there was another one, I can't think right now, but they were totally never thought of being played in jazz. And we made a, let me see of that, if I can think of that other tune. 1 second. If I Were a Bell. The musical was Bells Are Ringing. He made a great contribution. And next we go to the great composer Harry Warren, not his name, Salvatore Antonio Guaragna, Italian from Brooklyn. He wrote Serenade in Blue. Serenade in Blue was recorded first by Billy Eckstine and then Dexter Gordon. Why? To me, Harry Warren was on the verge of bebop harmonies and chromatic movements. So Billy Eckstine and Dexter, of course, recognized that, and Serenade in Blue, very hip tune. So this is another one. That one was Serenade in Blue from Glenn Miller Orchestra Wives. A little bit later, another movie, Sun Valley Serenade, and Harry Warren had I Know Why, another beautiful tune. give you an example what Red did on the bridge. Harry Warren on the bridge used a major chord. Red changed it to minor. To me, that was it. On the bridge, I don't know if it's in my key for singing. One second. Something like the lyrics. When I hear you speak, I hear gypsy violins, but Harry Warren had major. I hear gypsy violins, major. It's okay, but minor is soulful. To me, it's more soulful. That's what Red Garland did. He put a minor chord. One of the other traits of Red Garland, besides block chords, he would play some selections with just one finger, not too complicated harmonies, but he could sing with one finger, just bring out the melody. Really beautiful. Next we go to Harry Warren, Salvatore, doing a great standard from 1937, September in the Rain, that Red recorded on his first CD, A Garland of Red. A little sip on my Turkish coffee. Red's single note phrasing when he played rhythm tunes had a really springy feeling, great swinging feeling, kind of bouncy spring feeling that really took off. It had a looseness and wonderful driving energy. The next selection is typical of his block chords. The tune is Willow Weep for Me, and it's written by a lady, Anne Ronell. While she was going to college, I forgot, Midwest, in her dorm window she could see a whole avenue of weeping willow trees, and that's the inspiration. And let me give you an example, like for example, a Red Garland F7 chord. In the left hand, he would use a substitution. Inversion, he would have the 7th, then 13th, and so on in the left. In the right hand, the simple thing would be to have F octave. However, he filled it up, made it thick, and he spelled it out for me. Left hand, E flat, F sharp, A and D, and right hand, F, B, D, and F. It would vary in the left hand the notes, and a lot of the left hand chords were inversions, didn't have the root, but he would change notes, make them more dissonant, and they would add to the tension, but still always kind of remaining with a blues feeling. And Willow Weep for Me is really close to the blues, and I'll give you my version. those rich chords are so effective in between single lines and alternating them. One of the things that Red did mention, that I don't think Miles compensated him. He was so successful. Miles was packing everywhere they went because it was a revolutionary quintet. And I don't think, from what I remember, he told me that Miles compensated him for the contribution that he brought. So after a while, I guess, Miles was changing styles, but I think Red had enough and he needed to go on his own. So he went a lot of places with his different trios. He did a great album in New York at a club called The Prelude. And it's one of the most swinging, could have been Specs Wright on drums, but the bass player from Philly, I had the pleasure of playing with him. I have to think of his name. Jimmy, oh boy, if you go to their live at the Prelude, Red Garland, you see him, one of the strongest walking bass players ever. Jimmy somebody, boy, it was fantastic. So he recorded there when Miles Quintet went to, for the first time on the West Coast, as I mentioned, went to LA. The alto saxophonist Art Pepper, who was in between bebop and kind of Lester Young, Zoot Sims influence, both soulful alto player. He was recovering from those days, as you know, the problem. So he didn't play for 2 weeks, but he went into the studio and Red, Philly Joe, and Paul Chambers, boy, they gave him such great support. Listen to the album Art Pepper Meets the Rhythm Section. Really wonderful, wonderful recording. Here is a Red Garland blues with a good bounce to it. This is called Hey Now. Really great feeling. And one of the things that also added to Red Garland's playing, Miles told him to listen to Ahmad Jamal, who had a great light touch, playing single note solos, leaving space. Very effective. And the song Ahmad's Blood with Red Garland, Philly Joe, and Paul Chambers, great recording. I'm not sure, it might have been Red's composition, and very effective. So Red was listening a little bit to Ahmad Jamal, but basically his main influence is Bud Powell. And speaking of bebop, Red recorded an album with Charlie Parker in 1953 at the Storyville in Boston. Check it out, accompanying Bird beautifully. And after doing some single lines, at that time he still hasn't developed his block chord, so he would play a little kind of a richer harmony, but not in the block chord style. I'm not sure how true this is, how he discovered the block chords. In Downbeat, it said he was practicing, he was frustrated, he couldn't find what he did. He dropped his hands in frustration on a piano and whoa! I guess he hit something close to that, and that gave him the idea. That's supposed to be the story from the block chords. Now, from the album My Romance, the album Garland of Red, he recorded Richard Rodgers' My Romance, alternating between block chords on the melody and single lines with such a beautiful touch. What I forgot to tell you, Red started playing piano really in the 20s. He played maybe a horn, but what happened? Early on, he was a professional boxer. He fought minimum of 35 fights. One of them exhibition with Ray Robbins of Sugar Ray, and the accomplishment there, Ray didn't knock him out. He managed it to last. Amazing person. So despite all of that, fighting, his touch was so beautiful. Here is My Romance. what Red would do, as mentioned before, not only discover tunes never meant to be played in jazz, but he would take a song that was recorded in a specific way, but give his own personal, fresh treatment. One of them is It's a Blue World, 1940, a beautiful ballad in a slow tempo that Glenn Miller recorded. And late 40s, it caught on. Four Freshmen did beautiful four-voice harmony and became a big hit. However, in 57, Red Garland swung the tune and made it work. Sometimes you can take a ballad and make it into a swinging tempo. It didn't work. This one did. So I'll play It's a Blue World first slow and then swing it in Red Garland style. The composer was Chet Forrest, 1940. Never heard of him, but maybe that's the only tune he's known. Go to YouTube, compare, check out Glenn Miller 1940, check out Four Freshmen, their first recording, a classic, and then for contrast 57, Red Garland Trio. It's a blue world. Next we go to Harold Arlen, and what Jon Hendricks told me, you can look it up. Harold Arlen's father was a rabbi, pastor. Right next door to the synagogue, there was a African American Baptist church. So Harold Arlen would hear both kinds of music in the synagogue, the melodies from the Middle East, klezmer style intervals. Also, they're very similar to Arabic scales too. And then he would hear the bluesy gospel feeling. So to me, he became the most blues-oriented composer in America, from a Great American Standard songbook, Blues in the Night. Great blues feeling. And here is one, Stormy Weather. And Red Garland plays this very subtle, not particularly thick harmonies, one finger melody, but subtle but effective, Stormy Weather. A lot of times when you hear this song, which also works by singers or instrumentalists, they hit it harder, making it real, even more dramatic, bluesy, but Red this way, as you heard, played it more subtle, and the message was there. Beautiful, Harold Arlen, Stormy Weather. Check out the film. Lena Horne does a great job in the film Stormy Weather. Beautiful, and Stormy Weather also as an interlude, which is wonderful. And in the film, Cab Calloway's there. I had a fortune of working with Cab Calloway. I was a house pianist at KGO TV on Golden Gate Avenue from 74 till 84, and 85 I moved to New York. So people would come in, Kenny Burrell, boy, named the tune. In those days when a horn player came, they would give me a rhythm section. And when a vocalist came, I was alone accompanying. When Cab Calloway came, he just said, "Get happy," and and it worked really well. The same day, he had a show at Macy's at the bookstore. The book is called Minnie Moocher and Me, and he gave me the book, signed it for me. I went and played at Macy's, play a couple tunes, and people buy books. So that was on KGO. And when Rosemary Clooney came, a great voice, her big hit was Tenderly. There's no arrangement, she just turned around. Tenderly, B flat. That's it. And you just play it. A lot of exciting times. Well, time for one more. But I should mention, I didn't mention yet, on the side of the piano where camera is going, the reason it's in large letters. People would say, "How do we leave a tip? My shows are free." But I have to pay for the camera, sound setup, and so tips are welcome. So somebody said, "How we do it?" Well, we put it in large letters where camera is showing on the side of the piano. So there are three ways: Zelle, PayPal, and Venmo, right there. Also, let me remind you, May 13th, today was honoring 100th anniversary of Red Garland. May 13th, honoring 100th anniversary of Miles Davis, John Coltrane at Yoshi's, Jack London Square. I have a phenomenal band. 19-year-old lady Chinese-American trumpet player, Skylar Tang. You gotta hear her. Yoshi's, May 13th. She plays authentically tuned in to the music. The former New Yorker veteran Steve Heckman, great tenor player, together with her, we're gonna play Walkin', of course. Bo-be-a-ba-bo-de-da-da. And also Hector Lugo on congas, a great singer, and Doug Miller on bass, Jason Lewis drums, and the baritone beautiful voice in front, Jamie Davis. It's a great combination. And the next one will be from Garland of Red, the first album, what is this thing called Porter, but I remember something. Miles' first album with Train was called Cookin', and the tune that led off was called Blues by Five. Red Garland would play the theme with block chords, and then Miles would solo, something like this. So Red Garland played the theme Blues by Five, as I did, and Miles comes in. Philly Joe, Red, and Paul Chambers are setting the groove. Oh, those days, boy, that's a story. Now, Cole Porter. What is this thing called Love? 1 second. Let me show you something here, what I discovered. This is not cocaine. The powder is ground up vitamin C in small powder. And what I found, sometimes as you play, you get a little stiff. Cayenne pepper, cinnamon, spices, vitamin C powder, boy, immediately loosens you up. It depends if you have any stiffness or whatever. I would try a little bit, but I'm not a doctor. I hope nothing happens. But this is what I do. Cinnamon or this, vitamin C or cayenne pepper. So in a minute we'll finish with what is this thing called Love. If you like to subscribe to my channel on YouTube, you can see on the screen, on your computer or whatever you watch, subscribe, and then you will know where I'm playing, what my next streaming is, and so on. And please do so, and don't forget, May 13th, Yoshi's, Jack London Square. Thank you. See you next time.